Ozzy here, and welcome back to another episode of Sawcasters. It's actually just after the last episode of me recording this, so yeah, last time we were talking about the Nintendo Direct that happened in June 21st, 2023, and yeah, now we're going to be moving on to something that I don't even know what we're going to talk about next, but the wheel's going to decide for us, so... we'll get to that, and yeah, I guess I really don't have any other stories to share, I don't think. Yeah, no, nothing. So, I think my volume's up, is it? Okay, yeah, now, then you can hear the wheel. And also, if you already hear something in the background, that is my fan, because it's normally warm as hell in this room, so, yeah. And if you hear some, light tapping, it's just rain hitting my window, so... Sorry, nothing I can really do about the weather. Which, luckily with my fan, I've at least put it to the lightest setting, so it's not as loud. But I can't silence the rain, so... The rain can be very loud, especially on my window. I don't know why, but, Anyways, let's spin the wheel and see what we get. And see what we're talking about. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Okay, so that's gonna be what we're talking about. It has actually been quite a while since I've actually played Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I actually did play it recently, but not too much. I only just played it for a little bit to do one of the tournaments in there. But yeah, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. It's technically my very first Kirby game. Well, I mean, I don't know if I would really call it my very, very first Kirby game, but I think it was the first one I definitely played all the way through, because I do have a 3D S game, which I think is Kirby Triple Deluxe, and I think I only played a little bit of it. I don't think I really got too far into the game for some reason. But yeah, if you guys don't know, Kirby is a small, cute, adorable little pink blob with red shoes and arms, and basically whatever he eats, he gains the powers of. So if he inhales fire, he becomes Fire Kirby. If he inhales water, he becomes Water Kirby. Something like that. So, yeah, a very broken ability, honestly. But, basically, it's also the very first 3D platformer for Kirby, because a lot of the Kirby games are all, 2D games, so it's definitely the first, 3D one. So, yeah, so Kirby gets brought into this mysterious land, and, he has to save the Wallabies from whatever malevolent force is taking them captive, and of course the little helper is Elfin, who literally does nothing for you, honestly. But yeah, there are some fun little mini bosses you can fight. There's normally a main boss for each of the 6 worlds, which there are about 6. You have grasslands. You have a carnival, unless the carnival is part, maybe? No, it's not. Trying to think. Right, I think it's just a normal forest, dead city kind of look. But yeah, that's the first world. The second world is a beach area. Then you go to a carnival. Then you go to a snowland. Then a desert, and then a volcano area to finish it off, which, is a very interesting thing. And it's also the first time you can actually upgrade your copy abilities, which you only have a certain amount. There's fire, like I mentioned, there's drill Kirby, wind Kirby, spike Kirby. There's a few Kirbys in there, but yeah. And funny enough, you don't really play as I think it's a 2-player game, and the second player plays as Ben Dan Waddle-Dee. I think that's the actual name of him. But yeah, he has his own little attacks. He doesn't do any of the copy abilities that Kirby does. But yeah, with those two, you normally just kind of go through the levels, and you probably just save the other Waddle-Dees, which in my first playthrough, I actually went and saved all the Waddle-Dees on the hardest difficulty too, which there's 2 modes, there's standard and hard, which normally standard, it gives you a lot more health and the enemies are easier to fight, but you do get less rewards for it. But if you put it on hard, your health is like a lot more lower, and obviously enemies are a bit harder to defeat. And there's and of course you get better rewards clearing the stages if you play on hard mode. So yeah. Yeah, there's also these and also to upgrade your what is it, like to upgrade your copy abilities, there are these like mini challenges where you can get these star crystals. I forgot what their names were. I mean, don't also judge me. It's been a while since I've actually like played through the entire game. Like legit, probably like a year ago. But yeah, you use those star things to pay the Waldy to upgrade your shit, and also to get the blueprints for these things too. You need to you pretty much find them within the levels. Like they don't exactly tell you if they're in the certain level. The only thing that it really tells you are where the Waldys are or how many there are in this level. So yeah, which I think there's like 6 levels per world, I think. But yeah. But yeah, it's a very interesting game, which, funny enough, after you beat the main game, you kind of do like a harder version of the game. Like, you kind of go into a different, like, dimension, I guess, that you normally play through all the worlds again, which, funny enough, you have a level that includes all the worlds in that level, which at the end of the level you face recolored skin of the boss of that area, which I think they are like a lot more stronger, and they have probably like better, like their better moves or whatever. So yeah, I mean the bosses. Let's see, there's like a giant ape, which I think is Scarmondo, I think. There's Tropical Woods, I do remember him, which is probably like Wisby Woods, but he's like more of like a big palm tree. There's a female leopard. You face DDD, King DDD, and then you face a armadillo, and then you fight King DDD again in World 6. Which then, after that, you kind of have like a main final boss area, I guess, which you fight this one dude called Leongard, and then you fight some blob, which apparently is connected to Elfin, I guess, in some way, and then obviously there's like the other part of Elfin, which is the dangerous and more powerful one, I guess. Which he is also known as the Ultimate Life Form, which, funny enough, when they first mentioned the Ultimate Life Form in the game, I was like, Shadow? But, yeah. But, yeah, that's basically what the game is, pretty much. Which, it's definitely a very fun experience. I definitely enjoyed going through it. I did find it a bit tedious, where I had to, like, try to figure out where some certain Waddle Dees were, especially since, in some cases, like, it's almost like it's very hard to see like different areas. Like, how do I explain it? Like, you're kind of going through this one spot, but you can miss that there's like a pathway that you didn't even know was there. Honestly, you could like go through like 100 times or something, and then you probably wouldn't even notice until you like maybe accidentally destroy it, and then you're like, oh, this is a secret, and then boom, hidden Waldy. Or even a hidden scroll for one of your upgrade moves, or upgrade abilities, which, yeah. I think, if anything, my favorite's like the sword Kirby, especially since I think his third upgrade, he literally becomes Meta Knight, which is pretty funny. But, yeah. There's also a little tournament mode where you can also gain more of those star crystals, so, because normally the certain amount you get in the levels, I think they at least get you to get all the upgraded, like all the 3 stages of the power up. Because normally for each power up, there's like 3 stages practically. You got your first base form, your middle form, and then your third form. Which normally in the base game it does give you enough, but like with the tournament one, you can get like extra little upgrades for that specific class. So like say for class 3 of sword, you can literally like add more star bits to that, star crystals or whatever they're called, and then they become like then they become a lot more powerful. Like I guess their attacks are more higher up because of it. So yeah, it's very nice to like up your stats with it. But I think you like upgrade those like in post game, honestly. But yeah, you do have 3 tournaments technically. You have one tournament where you face off against 4 of the mini bosses. You fight 2 of them in one round. So say for round 1 you fight like this armored sword guide, and then there's I want to say his name, but I can't remember. He's like the big purple monkey. Well, I mean he's not really purple, but like he has like purple armor with a hammer. I forgot what his name was. So you can fight like those 2 in like the first round, and then even maybe like later in a few rounds or something, you fight like this tornado goose, and then this ice seal. I think he's a seal. I don't know, but like yeah. And you can also get power-ups from them too, technically as well. Like the sword armor dude gives you sword Kirby. The hammered monkey gives you hammer Kirby. The tornado goose gives you wind Kirby, and of course the ice seal gives you ice Kirby. So yeah, you face those guys, and then you fight the first 3 bosses. Because normally when you first unlock the tournament, it's normally after you fight the first 3 bosses, so you at least fight the first 3 bosses of the first 3 worlds. And then the final match, since the first one is called the Mennonite Cup, you fight Mennonite in that section. That's the only time you can actually fight Mennonite too, is like in that tournament. So, you know, you have like a little duel with Mennonite at the end, which normally it recommends you the sword, like it literally like says you like to grab the sword, which you normally just walk into it and then you become sword Kirby. But honestly, if you just attack the sword, you could technically fight Mennonite with whatever power up, but it's more fitted and more classic to do it with the sword, I guess. I mean, imagine also like with you actually having the stage 3 Mennonite outfit, like that would be sick. Mennonite versus Mennonite. And then yeah, and then you have the second tournament, which it's kind of like the same as the first one, but all the other bosses are in. Mennonite's not the final one you normally fight at the end of the tournament, though. You do kind of fight them at random points in the tournament. But, like, you go and fight all the other bosses, which there are technically 6 other bosses that do get added in. There's the 3 that you get from each world, and then technically there are 3 bosses at, like, the final stage, where you fight against the Young Guard. There's, like, weird oozy blob thing of evil elfin, I think, and then the evil elfin's true form, I guess, as like the final one, which that's like the final boss where you normally beat in the game. And then the final tournament, and remember what I said about like the alternate like the alternate world and the alternate bosses that are a lot more stronger? Yeah, that's the other one. Which there's even one for like Mennonite too, so that's a thing as well. And yeah, you kind of just go through all those, and yeah, I think the final one actually gives you like 3 star bits, where normally the other ones just give you 1. So, you know, that's interesting. But yeah, it's definitely a very fun game to play. I definitely recommend it, especially for like a 3D Kirby game, which is the first one they've ever made, which, you know, pretty good, especially the environments. Like, they look so nice, too. It's definitely fun. I did say it was pretty tedious to, like, try to find the Waddle Dees at times, because, well, the thing is, to actually, like, the game actually does give you hints on where to find them, but, like, you normally don't get the hints till after you defeat the level the first time, so you would have to actually go back into the level and find the Waddle Dees. So yeah. Yeah, Kirby is definitely a very fun game. Hey, welcome back. I wasn't gonna mention that cut the video there, but I really had to really had to use the bathroom, so I was hoping to like hold it in just before like at least until after I was done this recording, but I was like, no, I need to go like now. Don't you hate it when you get interrupted even by your own body? But yeah, going back to Kirby, I guess I can go more into detail about my thoughts on the game, which I kind of already did. I think there was one section that was very hard to do for getting a certain quality, which there was one where there was like a mini boss rush like level, and one of the objectives that you had to do was you had to get through all of the mini bosses without taking damage. Now that was probably one of the hardest ones I actually had to get through, which I think I literally had a whole episode dedicated to that on my main channel. I think it was like episode 8, I'm pretty sure. And my god, it just seemed so hard, because even at the end, because with all the other bosses, like you normally probably like fight one at a time, normally. But I think with the final one, you have to face like two of the snow guy and like the snow seal I was talking about earlier. Like you have to fight two of them, which is already hard to avoid one of them like bad enough, and then you have the other one. So like I had to think of a good idea of what I needed to do to like for one avoid, but also get like massive damage on all of them. You know, like it's hard. Like I had to pick out like a specific like power up to bring it to it, because there is like a shop where you can actually just go and pick whatever copy ability you want before you head off into a level back in Waddle Dee Town. But yeah. There's also a little extra like collectibles, which there's like, which I think also leads to 100% too, which is getting all the capsules, which I think there's like 4 varieties. There's like yellow, which is common. I think green and blue are like, I think either like somewhat rare and then very rare, and then probably like the rarest of all I think was like the red ones. Which normally for those they normally have like little statues of Kirby related stuff, like either like some certain items, characters, even some Kirby copy abilities too, like through all the stages. Which I also mentioned that normally your last like stage is like stage 3. There are actually 2 other there are 2 copy abilities that actually go up to stage 4 actually, which is the sword and hammer. Which yes, you do go past more of the Meta Knight one, which you kind of become the it's like a fire Meta Knight kind of dude. I don't know who he is, but apparently he has shown up in other I was about to say Mario games, other Kirby games before. I never really knew what he was until like that game, but apparently you fight him in the like the first time you fight the dude too is like in the alternate land, like pretty much like I think after the Leon Guard fight, because I mean in the tournament one, which I know I said like you fight all the bosses in the other realm, like the other dimension, which I like. The one thing I think you don't do is fight the blob, because essentially you run from the blob a little bit, which is a bit different. Like that blob creature of Alphalands, that doesn't really exist in that one. Which, funny enough, you also don't fight the ultimate form of that too. Technically, like the ultimate final boss, which the only time you can actually fight him is actually in the tournament. Like the final like elfin like form, I guess. You don't fight him. You don't fight him in the actual like levels. You only get to fight him in the tournaments. So there's that too. So like instead you kind of like refight Leon Guard, because I'll just say this. So like spoiler alert to what happens pretty much in the game, that Leon Guard gets trapped in this alternate reality, and we're off to go save him, which he was the reason why they were capturing all the Waddle Dees, and Elfin too, to actually combine Elfin back with its, like, other form of him, I guess, like the meter form. So, yeah. And, yeah, you get to fight, like, yeah, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. But yeah, like, the alternate final form you tend to fight is, like, you fight the first one as, like, the main final boss of the main game, and then it's not until, like, the last tournament you get to fight the alternate version of him, which you can only fight the alternate versions of the other bosses in the other levels, besides the blob character, before you fight Final Alphas, but yeah. But basically the whole point is to save Leongard, and instead of Waddles to save there, you have to find Leongard's soul, which I think there's like 300 pieces of it, and I think to actually complete it as well, you need like 270 to actually fully complete too, so. And I think I'll also tell you if, like, you have, like, gotten all of Leongard's soul in that area as well. So that was the one thing that was nice about it, because, obviously, because there are sections where you can't, like, go back, obviously, so, and they don't tell you if you've collected all the Waldies in the certain area. So it's kind of nice with Leongard's soul section. But, yeah. But yeah, it's a very interesting and fun game, and I definitely recommend it. If you're not too spoiled already, then definitely go play it. It is definitely a very fun experience. It came out like, I think it came out around the time, like maybe just sometime after that the first wave of Mario Kart 8 came out. Like it was in March 2022, which I like to call that year the year of gaming, honestly. Like, honestly, there was, like, a lot of good Nintendo games that came out last year. Like, at the start of the year, we had Pokemon Legends of Arceus, we had Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and then I think there was, like, the 4 games that came out, like, near the end of the year, which was Splatoon 3, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Sonic Frontiers, and Pokemon Violet, which was amazing. And, of course, Kirby was definitely a good one to have there too, so yeah. But yeah. And funny enough, the first time I've ever really like known Kirby was back in Brawl, like for Smash Bros. Brawl. Yeah. In fact, a lot of the characters I probably know from Nintendo today, like Link, Samus, and all of them, I only really knew them from Smash Bros, and that's literally the only way I've known. Like, obviously there's probably some characters I knew that I didn't first remember in Smash Bros. Like there was obviously the Mario characters and the Pokemon characters as well. So, but Kirby was one of the first ones I even knew about and got to learn more about. And I actually watched the actual TV show of it too. Like I think all of the episodes at one point, like on YouTube. So that was definitely a fun experience. I just like the fact that Kirby just, like, eats something and he becomes, like, he becomes that specific thing, He's a very hungry fellow. He's cute and he's adorable. He's definitely a cute little character. Especially since he could, like, probably devour the entire Earth. Like, literally, there is a galaxy. Like, his stomach is literally a galaxy. We'll just say that much. He could probably eat, like, anything. Hell, if he wanted to, he could probably eat my entire house. Probably eat an entire, like, skyscraper if he wanted to. But, yeah. Nice Kirby for you. I really don't know what else to talk about for the game. I mean, I've kind of talked about all the details and stuff, and some stuff I thought about the game, too. But, yeah, I really don't know what else to talk about in that case. I did kind of put it in the wheel because I knew it was a game I've already, like, passed through and completed already, so I was like, okay, we've done this, it's all good. But, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I did want to kind of, like, continue the podcast a little bit, just because I did have a cut in between with me going to the bathroom and all, but I don't know, nothing else to talk about, so we can have an earlier episode, because why not? So anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. If you guys liked it, press the like button or subscribe to whatever. Make sure to check out my main channel and podcast channel down in the description below. And I'll see you dudes in the next video. See you dudes next time.